So, okay, well, we'll get started here. So tonight we're going to talk about a continuation of the goldeneye project we've been working on over the past year. Finally getting to the painting process, the great common goldeneye. So far I've applied some base coats. So I thought I'd do that at home so I can get into the detail work tonight. Simply what I did, if you look at it closely, I've done some sponge painting in the dark areas where it has a little texture to it, those little bumps. And what I use for that is just a regular sponge like this. I tear it up into a piece. Then I do a mixture of white gesso, molding paste or texture paste, and I use this Liquitex raw umber paint to tint it. And the color was basically the light colors that you see in the head. So it's kind of a light tannish brown color. There's no right or wrong on that. You probably don't want to get too dark on it, but the reason I tint it is so if paint ever gets rubbed off, you'll get down to that tan color, so it's not white or the wood color. The reason why we do this sponging, and you don't have to if you don't want to, it's just a technique. It adds some texture and the light absorbs to it and makes it look more matte, flat finish.
Tom?
Yes?
How much of that mixing that little jar?
Molding paste?
How much do you put in that compared to the?
Just a little bit. So I'll mix it up quickly so you can see it. So I'll grab maybe a little bit like that. This is the same stuff I use for combing, but for combing I use more of the molding or texture paste just to give it some tooth, and that's just kind of playing around with. So a lot of this is paint, gesso and paint, with just a touch of texture paste just to give it a little body. The molding paste gets extremely hard too when it's dry, very durable. So I just mix it up real good. So it's all mixed up. Like so. So just pretend this is your bird. So just blotting. So you leave it like that and it's real rigid. So I pat it out so it's real fine. It's better to start off real fine. You can always do another coat if you want more, but so it's just very fine. Like that. We'll pass that around. Okay. Now the white areas, I did not do that. I left it raw, the raw wood, and painted it just white. To me, the white, if you try to paint it with that rough texture on it, just looks kind of rough. So for other areas where I won't do that texture paint, is say the speculum of a mallard that has that nice blue, bright blue, I'll want that to pop and shine. So I generally don't texture that area as well. But that's just how I've been doing it. There's no right or wrong to it, just personal preference. So, any questions on that part of it? Yes?
Excuse me, I screwed up on the 205.
Okay,
If anybody wants to put another bid in on the Tupelo, we'll close that off in 2 minutes and then people can start paying for it.
okay. Okay,
Sorry about that.
that's right. Okay, any questions on the texturing? Okay, so the base coats, I basically use 2 colors. I mixed up, I got a bottle of titanium white, one of these big bottles, and I took some of it out of it and mixed up, I think, smoked pearl, Joe Sonia smoked pearl, or a little raw umber, just to give it a tint so it's a very warm brown, or warm white. So that's kind of what I use for my base coat with the white. With the dark, what I use is raw umber mixed with a little bit of smoked pearl. Smoked pearl is this Joe Sonia color. I really like that color. So I just mix it down so kind of a grayish brown color, you know, but it still is dark. So it'd be kind of your underlying color of the dark.
Tom?
Yep.
Why don't you do the head and the back black? Because it's going to be black anyway.
Well, the final black is going to be a lot blacker than this. So this is basically a brown, like a brown black. So, and then the head, I use the same thing, but there I used an airbrush just to show you something different. In the past, we've painted it with different colors, and I've added extender medium to it. And I can do that on one side tonight too, but there's just another way of doing it that we really haven't covered in a while. So I had that base coat of that sponging that we did, and then I took this base coat of the black areas and sprayed them, airbrushed them in. So the shadows are the dark, and then the highlights are going to be the light. And you'll see what happens when we get to painting the head by spraying on different colors and by leaving this light, that like the green color that you see in the goldeneye is going to pop. So if you paint this all black and then try to get that green on there, it's going to be hard to get it real bright. So it's always better to start bright, and you can always dull it down. Once you get too dark with acrylics, it's hard to brighten that back up if you want to add some pop of color. So this way, it gives you options. Oils, on the other hand, I think you can go black to green. So, but acrylics, it's a different story. It's harder to get back to the lighter color. I always start painting from the tail to the front. So this is basically going to be a simple gunning bird. So, some of the areas I'm going to do very simple and plain, not spend a lot of time on them. Other areas I'll show you a few other things. And if you have questions along the way, just ask. So I'm going to try to go through it quickly to get through parts of it, to the main parts of this bird, to get an idea of what we're doing here. So we'll start with the tail. So what I'm going to do is take that raw umber, and smoked pearl. I'm just going to simply paint some feather edges. So actually I need more smoked pearl, so it's just going to be kind of a real light gray. Like so. Can you see that on the camera? Mm-hmm. Okay. So kind of a light gray. I'm going to water that down.
Can you move that bottle? There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to water that down a little bit. So if anyone's used an airbrush, it's kind of pretty much airbrush ready, so it's running off there. So to get my fine brush, it's 2 full Corel 70-20 ultra round. I'm just going to load that brush and spin it. It's good. It's pretty watery, so I'm just gonna come in and outline some feathers here. Again, it's very,
Do you already have them printed on there somehow?
no,
So you're just eyeballing it?
I'm eyeballing it here.
You're freehanding it then, huh?
Yep.
He's a good painter.
That one got a little darker than I want.
What number brush is that?
Number 2,
Number 2?
70-20 ultra round.
Just do it like that.
Yeah.
This is something, again, it's better to start off light and build up color. Finger got one of them here.
Just use acrylics too.
It's kind of like that here. It's kind of a simple tail. You want to add a couple splits in there. I just take some of that raw umber and darken it up a little bit.
Are you painting or just kind of cleaning up?
Kind of clean it up, but I had a little bit of paint in there. A little bit of raw umber. So it's kind of a simple, quick tail. Let's run that around while I'm fixing up the next color. So now I'm going to get to the black. So kind of the rump is kind of a black. Remember this technique I just showed you, it's watered down. You don't want to just build up the color. It's better to go over it a couple times versus try to get it all in one. And it's not as stark, it kind of blends into the base color. The other thing you could use, if you don't want to freehand, you want to draw your pencil, draw your tail feathers in there. There's these, I think they're wax pencils. You can buy them at Decoy. Internet art supply store, and they come in several colors. So I usually try to pick something out that kind of blends in with the color, but something you can see. So these are, you could draw your tail feathers on there. And I'll show this and the scapulars later when we get to them, but you could draw your tail feathers in there, and this simply washes off when water hits it. So you can paint your tail feathers on, and then it'll wash away. So just a little tip or hint on something to use. So a lot of times my black I'll mix with like burnt umber and a blue, or raw umber and a blue, but for tonight I'm just going to go straight out of the tube, carbon black, to make it simple. Alright. I'm going to add a little extender to it. Is this a blending medium?
What color do you got in this now? Same thing?
So I'm mixing up my kind of my base color and in carbon black.
Is that extender, do you use that hand painting as well, or mostly just the?
Hand painting, yeah.
Okay.
That allows you to blend, gives you time to blend. There's good and bad things about acrylics. The thing is it dries fast, but the bad thing for blending, it doesn't give you a lot of time for blending, so.
Turn over, table.
So,
Is that the new tubes of traditions paint?
Yeah.
Here too?
yeah.
How do you like them?
It's the first time I've used them, so, but they seem pretty good,
The tubes are terrible,
yeah.
because they're sitting upside down, so when you open the lid, it usually squirts out.
Oh,
No,
I
think they
guess I
wanted-
can see that.
I think they just wanted to package it so it didn't look like crap.
yeah.
Could be.
That's what I was
But they're
thinking.
smaller,
It
they're
was
smaller
just-
tubes too.
Just, yeah.
I
It's
suppose.
more marketing.
Yeah. So I'm gonna paint the rump feathers now. So what I've mixed up is carbon black with some extender, some blending extender, that which means gives it more time to dry. And then I've mixed up kind of our base color, which is kind of this taupey color, and then added some extender to that. What I like to use is these filbert brushes. So I like these for doing this method. So what I'll do, I'll put some water in it. And is that showing up on there? So I'm kind of pushing down like this, filling up that brush and then cupping it. You kind of get a cup. And I always have a piece of paper or something. So now I'll kind of envision feathers here. So I'm going to start in here. Feather that out. Kind of get up in between the primary feathers here. Like so, and that's showing up. Okay. Just gonna go ahead and do the other side too. Nice thing about this extender, you got some time. So that's that. So now I'm going to do some black here. Kind of do the same thing.
Tom, are you matching those stroke for stroke?
No. I'm pretty free with it here. As you can see, once you get the consistency right and your brush working pretty good, you can go quite a ways with this.
What size of a filbert is that, Tom?
16. I've got several different sizes. So it kind of gives you a feathered look. And once that's dry, if it's too light for you, take some black, wash it down and give it a wash black, and it'll kind of blend it all together.
Could you turn that around just so we can get a shot of that?
Tail?
Towards the. There we go.
Goldeneye has some of those tips in there too. So I'm gonna take a filbert again and go back to that same color we used for the tail outline. Just gonna throw just a few feather edges in there.
What color is this now?
This is that smoked pearl and
Charcoal?
raw umber.
Okay, okay.
Is this showing up?
Yeah?
Yeah. Now that you're trying to match with the,
That I am. I'm trying to tip the dark feathers. Doesn't have to be all of them, just random. It's more effective if you're a little more random than so patterned. Let's run that around while I get that step set up here. Any questions on that? This is something you can get a piece of paper like this and practice on. And if you notice when I'm doing this is my first hit, second hit. So the paper like this is just a heavy, I don't know, it's artist paper, you can buy it in a tablet, but it's very concentrated, a little less and feathered out. Kind of, this is what I'm looking for. Same again for my first stroke, second, third, and then the light one. So you want it, like again, not too heavy, just a very, very light. So I'm watering it down, I'm pushing that filbert down into it, spreading it out. There's water in here too, but not too much, but there's water in there so it'll spread out like that, and it's gonna cup. And after you do this for a while, your brush will just get that memory a little bit, and it even works better. So it's a trick I learned from Kent Duff, I think several years ago when he was here, and I still don't have it mastered like he does, but I've been practicing, so it takes practice. So I'm gonna mix up some primary colors. For the primary wing feathers, I'm gonna take burnt umber. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Raw umber. Kind of a 50-50 mix. I'm gonna start with that first.
You put clear vessel in yours too?
Pardon?
Clear vessel?
Clear gesso?
Clear vessel.
I've just used the white.
Wait.
Yep. So that's kind of a mixture there. I'm gonna take a little smoked pearl and lighten this up. It's kind of a taupey color, dark taupe brown. I'm gonna take a little of that and make edges. So I'm gonna take that color and lighten it more with smoked pearl. That's for my primary edges. And I'm just gonna take some straight raw umber. Yeah, I don't like these tubes. It's doing what you said. It's gonna be all over my shirt soon.
Very sloppy.
Yeah. It's probably better not to have them.
Bought up all the old ones, I would find.
Yeah.
Same when they were switching.
Just like a real phone.
What brand of paint did you use before? What did you like?
Well, I've got I got mountains of paint. I've got the Josonias I've had for years. I still use certain colors, mainly a lot of the smoked pearl. The traditions I use primarily, there used to be a color called Chroma Paint, a company out of Canada made it. They're no longer around, but there's a few colors in there I really like too. So, okay, so what I've got here is 3 different colors for my primaries. I've got my base coat, which is raw umber, burnt umber with a little smoked pearl, just to tame it down a little bit. Straight raw umber, and then a lighter color, which was the base color with smoked pearl. Just gonna lighten it up a little more. There's a little more contrast. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint put the base color on. Those primaries here.
That's the primary.
So in that previous step, if the black went onto the primaries, it's fine. I'm basically covering it up now. Okay, just kind of basically laid those in. So now on the bottom side of that, I'm gonna take just a straight raw umber, just kind of paint half of it. The bottom half raw umber. I know it's real subtle. You can probably hardly see it.
A little bit. Contrast.
Little contrast. And when that dries, then sometimes you have to do this a couple times, so. I'll unplug Frank if I. So now again, if you wanted to take that pencil and draw your edges on, you could, or you can freehand it. I'm just gonna take that fine brush again with this light color. And start here. And is it showing up? And that. And I'll connect them. Start down here. On the other side.
You know what I'm gonna do, Tom?
Yeah.
Is that carve them, I'm gonna bring over and you put them on your doorstep, you can paint them.
That would be fun.
That's really well for an amateur.
Yeah.
So kind of like that. I know things are a little wet on it yet, but I'm moving around here.
Lost you.
Okay.
Say, Tom,
Yeah.
if you were to use that, was it a wax pencil or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Can you paint with acrylics over that wax? What happens to that wax?
Yeah, I'll show you in a minute. It just washes away, kind of dissolves. It's probably better to find something close to the color you're painting. So we'll be painting these black lines on here. I've got kind of a taupey gray color I'm going to use. When white and gray mix, you kind of end up with a gray, so it's okay if you have a little gray tone in there. Kind of gives you a soft dimension.
So you said they're a wax pencil.
Yeah, I think it's a wax pencil.
They chalk?
Like a watercolor
Super-
pencil.
Yeah,
Is it a watercolor?
could be. Swiss made. I'll run it around. So, I'm gonna paint, just gonna move this up here, get back to this. Now I'll paint the black on the back. It's gonna be very similar then to the
I think it's,
rest,
I think it's
or the
watercolor.
rump,
It's watercolor. It's a watercolor pencil.
watercolor pencil.
Some watercolor?
If you lick your finger, it'll come off on your finger.
You sure?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I just did it.
so I'm gonna paint these tertials. Outline them there, go back to that taupe color, throw that down the center. These are those little blending brushes. Okay, and I have that retarder in there.
No, Tom, I've got two books at home to painting the goldeneye. They don't get into how to put different colors on the feather, it's just more constant of, you know?
Yeah.
You're painting from habit, really, aren't you?
Pretty much. Honestly, I just wing it.
You're doing pretty good.
Wing it.
Especially in the primaries.
Yeah. Just gonna outline them a little better, clean them up. Throw a couple splits in there for fun. That's kind of the general idea of it, but you could I'd spend a lot more time on that if I were going for real here. But it's kind of an idea. So now we'll throw all these in. So I'm gonna go back to kind of that method, but I'm gonna use a larger filbert for the scapulars. So I'm gonna take that taupe color again. Again, it's got that extender in it. These are bigger feathers. That's probably not showing up very well, but kind of using it, it's there, very subtle. Do the cape a little bit, being we got it all mixed up. It kind of gets my feather flow started, so even if you don't like something, it's not set in stone. You know, it's very subtle. You can see it, it's subtle. Or the black now. Just a light touch. Tricky up here where the head is. Kind of like so. Like I said, when that's all dry, you can wash it with black. I'll run that around. Wash it with black. Spray it with the airbrush if you want to. If you notice the feather pattern too, just kind of notice the directions away feathers. Scapulars a lot of times come off the back and are kind of angling down towards the side pocket, towards the back. So.
Tom, when you were doing that, were you taking one half of the feather at a time and then reversing it? or-
Basically, it's the tip of the feather and kind of, it's almost hard to explain. It's a very light touch, so it's tip where it's hitting in and a swoop. Swoop. So it's almost, so it's like the heaviest part of where the paint is hitting at the tip, and then you're lightly pulling it away. Even like when you're doing like splits and stuff with a little brush, it's more heavy and flick up. It's like it's a flick. So it's a split, your flick.
So is the lifting up off the brush, is that what's creating the
Yeah,
in the
so
center? It's kind of,
yeah, so it's kind of heavy, like on a split, it's similar. It's gonna be heavy as the paint there, and as you flick it, it's a lot finer and lighter back here. Just a flick. It's kind of the same with this, it's a flick. For the tip is the heaviest or the most pressure, but still very light. But you flick it back. As you're flicking it back, it's lifting off, but just the tips are still hitting a little bit. So it gives you some contrast. So the next part, I'm going to put those black lines in on the scapulars as they come, the feather edges. Put some paint in here too, white. This is just going to be titanium white. And then my base coat white, which is white with smoke pearl. Any questions?
Get stormed on last night?
Yeah,
That's what I see my twister or whatever where you live. got
Yeah.
Nailed. Or tornado went down.
I don't know, we had sirens going off, but.
Yeah, he said a tornado went out.
Oh, really?
Went on, went
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right where you live.
Oh, really? Really?
It kind of shows on the radio and the radar that way.
Oh, really?
It was, no, someplace in the general area.
Yeah, yeah. House is still standing. We had hail and stuff, but, yeah.
Did you have much hail?
Little bit, little hail, but a lot of thunder and lightning.
And they started out saying that there was ping pong size hail out a little bit further.
Oh.
And then they stopped talking about it.
Sure, sure. Yeah, good.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
the extender helps a lot. Yeah.
Brushing, I'm doing it great.
Yeah, the trouble with oil paints.
Okay. So I'm going to take this pencil now and draw these in. So now this white area is still is part of the tertials. So I'll probably clean that up with some white. But now these come down, these dark feather edges kind of sweeping off the back. I like kind of drawing S's. Like so. So kind of sweeping gradually off this black down, and I kind of swoop them back. So now I try to copy what I did over there. Okay, so. So I'm just gonna clean up this white a little bit here, sharpen it up. Just cleaning that up a little bit, my base coat color. So okay, so I'm going to take my black and paint right over those lines. Like so. Now these are made up of a few feathers, so if you wanted to come in and do that.
What number brush are you using?
This is a number 6, round 70-20. My fingers in there. I think we'll clean that up a little bit. You can add some splits just to break up the and come back the other way at the black and kind of extend that. And it feathers that out.
Let's see what you just did. Oh, I see, okay.
Just kind of feathering that, cleaning that up a little bit. You get that airbrush overspray. Just quick little flicks. Okay, so that's pretty much it for that. If you want to take some bright white or titanium and run it feather edges in here just to add some interest, you can run it through there. I know it's very subtle, probably hard to see on the camera. Okay. Any questions on that? So now the white. Are we good for time yet? The white I'm basically going to do is very similar to the black. So I'll take that base coat. I'm not going to go through the whole bird and paint it.
Why not?
Well, that way I can get to the head. How long do you want to be here?
No, I gotta get one.
Yeah. So basically that base coat, which really isn't going to do much but clean things up here and kind of give me a flow. So these kind of sweep up from the bottom. This is a very simple, easy, quick trick, technique. So now I'm going to take that titanium white. It's going to be very subtle. And just kind of, you can go all the way up on the breast that way. Just very similar to what we did in the back. Just ticking it like so. That's pretty much it for the white, So now on the goldeneye, those side pocket feathers get edged with black. So I'm just going to tip those. Should be dry though. I'll do the other side. So. Like that. So then the breast and all this through back here cleaned up. Basically do the same technique with a couple shades of white through all of that, just like we did on the back. And that'll kind of soften things up. So the head now, being I brought it, I'm going to use it. So, all right, we use the airbrush.